everybody. Welcome to another Mentor Me panel. Today we have with us Mithun and Abhinav. Why don't you guys go introduce yourself, tell us your name, what college, what year, what major, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Abhinav Jain. I'm from Ludhiana, Punjab, but I studied in the National School, Bangalore from 8th grade onwards. I'm currently at Duke University. I'm a sophomore. And I'm planning to do a double major in econ and bio, or in econ and environmental science. I want to focus on sustainability and go into the professional sector in sustainability, maybe go into starting my own business, hopefully, or take the professional pathway, go through consulting, and then end up doing that. We'll see what happens. And at Duke, I'm involved in the Energy Club. I'm involved in a startup on campus where we're making an individual climate change action platform. And I'm also a research assistant at the Nicholas Institute of Environmental Policy Solutions.
Hey, I'm Mithun. I'm from Bombay. I'm currently studying at NYU. I'm a sophomore as well. I study finance at Stern, and I graduated TISB in 2019, and I joined in 8th grade with Abhinav. Okay, so usually depends on when I have my first class, but it's usually at 9:30. So I'll wake up at around like 7:30 or 8. I'll go, I'll eat something, I'll go work out, and then I'll head to class at around 9:15. Because when I was staying in the dorms, the Stern building was just like 30 seconds away from me, so I used to leave 10 minutes before class, and I'll get through my first two classes usually by 12:15, and then go for maybe a club meeting at 12:30, which is common hour at Stern. So nobody has class. That's when all the club meetings happen. So I usually go then, either to the Quantitative Finance Society, where I go usually, or just to explore a new club. After that, sometimes I had one class after that in the afternoon. After that, yeah, I would head back to my dorm, get some work done for the day, maybe meet up with my friends in the evening. Usual day, non-stressful day at NYU.
We normally have 8:45s as a first class, or we have 10:15s. My first 2 semesters here, I made the mistake of having 8:45s. Well, I was kind of forced into taking 8:45s because that was the only option for those classes. I would not recommend taking 8:45 unless it's essential to take that class. This semester I'm doing 10:15, so let's assume that my classes start at 10:15. I wake up at 8:45, go for a workout, 9 to 10, come back, take my class. Go to my class. Class gets over at 11:30. I have breakfast after that, or I have lunch, depending on whether I had food before my class. At this point, I'm sitting at the Bryan Center, which is this big patio in front of where we have all of our food outlets. It's a really nice place. I think this is the least stressful part of the day because this is when I'm meeting people and I'm just relaxing. After this, I will go to the library called Perkins Library, huge library, just studying over there until probably about 3 to 4. And then I'm going to have lunch in between, of course, but I'll have lunch while studying. And then following that, I'll go for my job, which currently is online. So I haven't done the in-person version of this job, but involves me walking 10 minutes to reach the institute. And then I'll work there till 6 or 7, depending on what my work hours are for that day. I'll come back. Again, this is going to be my time for relaxing, or I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to be with my friends. And then I'll probably have an hour or 2 of work to do. And then I'll finish off my night either by going out something with my friends, or I will just stay in section. Section are the parts of the buildings where we live with our social organizations, and just screw around with my friends. And on weekends, both weekends, I will have more free time, so I will play soccer in the morning.
So I lived on campus last year. I'm living off campus this year, so I think I have a pretty good perspective. A good part about living on campus is that all the buildings are super close to the academic buildings. So like I said, you don't need to plan ahead a lot in terms of like getting to your classes and stuff. That's really nice. A lot of them have, at least mine had a dining hall, and quite a few of them do, which is really convenient when you have a meal plan. You don't need to worry about food. As for the worst part, I'd say that a lot of your social experience is built. I think this goes for most scholars, not just NYU. It's built on the people in your dorm. So it's heavily dependent on luck that way. That you either get lucky and find some good people living around you, and that becomes your friend group, or if you're in a dorm that's has a setting that's not very social, then you might have to find other ways to do that. As a whole, the best and worst part, I think the same thing makes it the best and worst part, which is that we don't have a campus. Where our campus is in the city, so that has like really good advantages as well as disadvantages in terms of like it's like after high school, this is like basically it doesn't feel like I'm in a closed community of school students anymore, which is kind of cool. It feels like I'm just living my adult life. But obviously that has its negatives in that we don't have sports games or like tailgating that we can all get together as a community for, which I would like to do.
I think the best part about my school as a whole is that it's a small school, so we only have 6,000 undergraduates. So what applies to Mithun in terms of making friends in your dorm does apply to us if you're a freshman. But at the same time, all freshmen are sequestered onto East Campus, which is solely dedicated to housing for freshmen. So you can just expand out of your dorm. I mean, you can go meet people in the canteen, just randomly sit next to someone, say hi, strike up a conversation in your classes, and you just tend to have a lot of more opportunities to just make friends. Duke facilitates that pretty well. We have like O week is orientation week. It's just 1 week of just partying and booling all the time, which is fun. And the best part about housing is that I think we have one of the highest rated dining plans in the world, in the country. I mean, in terms of the quality of food and the way the options that we have. And yeah, that definitely, like, I can see that as a student. That's an excellent thing. Also, so the worst part about housing is also kind of the best part. You can, based on luck, you can either get into a dorm which was built in the 1990s and so does not have good infrastructure, or you could get into a dorm that was built like 5 years ago. So for me, I was in Blackwell, which is one of the dorms that actually looks like a jail from the inside. Um, and it's a super small dorm. I had like tiny room compared to my friends who were in Trinity, which is the dorm that was built 3 years ago, and it's huge. It looks like a 5-star hotel. But at the same time, the good thing about being in Blackwell is that since it's a small, shitty little place, you get to have a lot more of the community feeling with people who live down your hall because you're always seeing them all the time. Yeah. Coming back to the worst part about Duke, I think depending on who you are as a person, Duke may be a little stressful for you because a lot of people are going like pre-professional or like pre-med or like engineering, and people are really like, they're really on top of their stuff, so they're always thinking about it. So depending on whether you get stressed easily about that kind of stuff, you may get stressed about it. But I would definitely say like Duke does create a very non-stressful environment because of the community, and because, I mean, our campus is really big and it's like full of nature. Like, you have a lot of good spots where you can just sit and relax. That definitely helps out. And yeah.
It honestly comforted me quite a bit because for a lot of schools, especially in smaller towns, there's the risk that so many people so quickly are coming from different parts of the country and the world, so there's a higher chance of like virus cases surging. But in the case of Manhattan, even though there's quite a lot of college students, it's still like in the city, so the city has people moving in and out all the time, so the city is used to traffic, and that's something that they've handled well and that they're prepared for. So I'm more like, my parents especially are more like comfortable with me coming back, I think, especially because I'm in the city.
Yeah, so living in a small town, I mean, Duke is the only thing we have here. So if you want to party, like, it's partying. Like, you see it's pretty much the same people again and again, week in, week out. And yeah, unlike New York, I mean, you can't have a change of scenery. Like, you can't just, go into a new social circle that does not study in NYU, studies in Columbia. However, we do have the city of Raleigh very close to us, where UNC Chapel Hill is located, and we also have NC State very close to us. So if you have friends there, I mean, it's very accessible, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes by car if you take a cab, or if one of your friends has a car. Duke does have, I mean, this area does have a lot of natural scenery even outside the campus of Duke. So if you're a big fan of like hikes, or you want to go to like a water body just to jump in the water or whatever, there's a lot of opportunities to do that here.
Stern in particular, I feel we just in general, it's like a running joke, and why like Stern kids get a lot of hate, and there's a few reasons for that. I think the first one is that NYU itself puts a lot of attention on Stern for some reason. Like we have more funding and our buildings are better and we have better counselors, which isn't really fair, but it's it's a reason that other schools hate on us. But just in terms of the Stern culture, I've definitely heard of people transferring from out of Stern into other schools at NYU because they think it's too competitive or the environment is toxic. Personally, I haven't really seen that. I think, at least with my class, it's like a collaborative environment, and I think people do support each other. And I haven't really heard of people from my year leaving Stern or complaining about that kind of thing. But I definitely do see it happening because the way that Stern functions, they make you as a cohort do things together and compete with one another. Even though I'm sure their intention is for it to be friendly, I do see it going the other way. A lot of people say that because it's in the city and there's no campus, there's no real like fraternity in the school. Like there's no bond between people from the school. But again, I think that it just depends on who you are as a person. Like if you yourself don't go out and if you aren't a social person, then it's easy to just live by yourself away from the whole thing, especially if you're not even on campus anymore. But if if you're a social person, if you put in the effort to get involved in the community, it's personally, at least I feel, it's very welcoming.
Yeah, so there's I think there's three big talking points about Duke's culture. There's the pre-professional culture, there's sports culture, and then there's the Greek life or the social culture. I'm going to start with the pre-professional culture. So there's, again, like I said, like there's a lot of pressure on you to start figuring out what you want to, like, where you want to work, not what you want to do, but where you want, at least where you want to work, because you could like work in finance and you don't need to know which industry you want to go in exactly. You could work in consulting, you don't need to know where you want to work, like in terms what you want to consult about. um, but you could be pre-med. I mean, people are always like thinking about that, and it comes up in conversations a lot. So Duke does offer a lot of things for you to figure that out. I mean, our career center is really good. We have a number of business societies, so if you miss out on one, you could always go for the other one. There's business societies for just women. There's business societies just for Latinx people, for like Indian people, etc., etc. And we also have the INE certificate, which is Innovation and Entrepreneurship Certificate, which are just classes that are based on like innovation, entrepreneurship, like it's in the name. So there's always, I mean, the thing is that it's on top of your head all the time, but then there's so many things for you to just go out and explore that you will be able to figure your shit out, unless you're just super lazy. Um, the second thing is the sports culture. So Duke is a big sports school. We have the best basketball team in the world, I mean, best college basketball team in the country. So you're always going out to watch your basketball games, and it's amazing. Like you're lining up. Even the lining up for just buying the tickets is amazing. We have our tenting, which is just 3 weeks of sleeping outside before the UNC game, so you can get in line for the ticket. I mean, those are always like really good experiences because you're born with your fellow Duke students, and you get to see your players just perform. um, and people go to the gym like every single, I mean, our gyms are huge. I have never seen someone here who's not fit, which is incredible. Like I was shocked when I saw that the amount of fit people that there are here. So I think that's a really good thing. Like people are always down to play sports, whatever sport it may be. And then the third thing is the social culture. So the social culture, depending on who you are as a person, may be good for you or may be bad for you. So right now Duke is going through a tumultuous change where some people are trying to abolish Greek life because of the impositions of like social hierarchy, of discrimination and financial hierarchy, etc., etc., that Greek culture imposes on the general Duke population. But at the same time, Duke also has this thing called SLGs, which are student living groups. So if you don't want to be part of Greek culture because you say, okay, I don't want to be part of this discriminatory culture or whatever, you could go be part of an SLG. So I'm part of an SLG, and it's pretty much the same thing as a frat or a sorority, except your SLG may be co-ed, mine is not co-ed, but you don't have you're not tied by like international fraternity council rules or national fraternity council rules. I don't know what it is, and you don't party as often. Like you don't have a rigid structure set in place that we're gonna party Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. It's kind of like you flow with it. But like at the same time, all that being said, Greek culture is super fun. You have like a bunch of great friends. You always have like something ready for the weekend, so you can look forward to the weekend and just like having a good time with your friends and partying. Social life is dominated, like parties are dominated by Greek culture and by, I would say, one or two SLGs. They're the ones who throw parties all the time. So if you do want to like get invited to a party, you need to know someone in that organization so you can get the band. So it all depends on who you are as a person. I mean, there's a place for social people, there's a place for non-social people here as well. To be honest, I don't know the exact like numbers of whether we have more funding or the graduate schools have more funding, but non-quantifying, like not looking at it from the quantification perspective, we have, like I said, we have extremely good courses. I think the certificate courses that are provided to Duke students are really good. So like I said, INE is an example. Then there's the energy and environment, there's human rights, there's PPE, so that's politics, philosophy, and economics. So there's a number of these certificates that you can take alongside a major or a minor, which are offered to, I don't think they're offered in other colleges the same way they are in Duke. And we have a career connections center, which is just brilliant, I think. Like really helps you out figuring your network and stuff. The clubs here are really good as well. They're very well run and they give you a lot of opportunities to meet people, network in the industry that the club is in. And some of the clubs also offer scholarships, and a lot of speakers come. A lot of internship opportunities. I think in general, like Duke does a really good job of keeping their undergraduate population happy with the mental health resources that are provided to us, and then just events that are provided to us, which are not parties. Like, there's like movie nights, there's like dogs on campus just like freely roaming about. I mean, the other day they got ponies during exam week last semester, just for people to like chill with ponies. And then there's a lot of like, I mean, obviously the basketball events help a lot as well. Undergraduates are given an insane amount of research opportunities. Like you have this website called Duke Lists where all professors put down their research listings, but then you also have a website called Muser, which has even more research opportunities. And then you also have this thing called Bass Connections where you can take part in interdisciplinary teams working under a professor doing a research project. So, I mean, you never fall short of research projects. You have so many options. I think that's it. Also, the biggest thing that is really good for undergraduates is that the first 3 years of your career, so freshman, sophomore, and junior years, you're supposed to live on campus, like mandatorily. So that's really good because you're still part of that community and you never feel left out. But at the same time, if you're the kind of person who would get sick of it, then shit.
I think most of what Abhinav said applies to us as well, except obviously the sports and the animals. No. So we have a really good career center as well, and like a bunch of recruiting events that happen. So they like, I think they do a really good job in that, like guiding us through recruiting and getting internships, especially for majors like finance and consulting. Yeah, and another thing is that there's a lot of MBA professors, like the famous Stern professors, that also teach undergraduate classes, which is great, that you can take in your third and fourth year. So I think that's an important way that they show that they care about the undergraduates. I think Stern's diversity mirrors that of NYU's in that it's just super diverse. Last semester, I went to a few different college campuses, and they were more like things like Duke. I went to like University of Iowa, University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin, like big college campuses in small towns. And I think that's when I realized that I do enjoy this experience more, because it's much more different than what high school was. I feel like being in a college town will be a little bit like high school in that the whole environment is just people your age, and you see mostly the student body, as opposed to this, which is like, as I said before, it's just like living in New York, as like, even if having a job, going to college, whatever, you're living in New York, which is something I realized only after I visited the other campuses. And I think that's when I knew that, this experience is unique and I should appreciate it more.
For me, I was always dead set on the fact that I didn't want to go into a college like NYU where the campus is part of the city, just because I'm not a big fan of like downtown, etc., like crowded cities. So I was really happy when I came to Duke, saw the campus. I think the fact that Duke's campus is big and that it has a lot of nature spots helps me a lot because I like to go out and like go for walks and stuff like that. Um, and and the sports culture at Duke, the importance that's given to just like going out and doing physical activity, or even for that matter, just going out and having fun like the parties, and then next morning you're still back at the library grinding your stuff out. I think that balance is perfect at Duke, and that was really good for me because that's the kind of person I am. Although I would say that sometimes it's easy to lose yourself into the not studying part because quite a few people here come from really influential and like affluent families who are rich, so they don't need to work per se, and so they just screw about here. So if you get lost in that kind of like group, then it's a little hard to pull yourself out. But it is feasible. I mean, you can do that. And I think in terms of diversity as well, like Duke is really good. We have international kids from all over the world. I mean, I'm sure NYU does as well.